The sweeping vistas of the Zimbabwean countryside have long served as fertile ground for dreams of economic renaissance. From the majestic baobab trees, silhouetted against golden savanna sunsets, to the awe-inspiring power of Victoria Falls thundering over ancient basalt cliffs, this land has forever inspired visions of Edenic abundance and prosperity. Yet for all its natural splendor, the human story of Zimbabwe has been one of perpetual yearning for the economic deliverance that has perpetually danced just past the fingertips of its people. Once the breadbasket of southern Africa, able to feed the entire region, Zimbabwe's fall from economic grace has been nothing short of Miltonic in its tragic arc. The latest chapter in this saga of struggle against the economic demons that have long bedeviled the nation came last week. With inflation temporarily tamed by the introduction of a new gold-backed currency and the watchful monetary planners at the helm, one could be forgiven for allowing a fragile flicker of hope to awaken that this time, finally, the corner had been turned. In his secluded monetary priory in Harare, where the cenobitic monks of finance conduct their sacred rites, Governor John Mushiavanhu emerged to intone the ritual invocations over the policy levers of the money supply. And though the benchmark interest rate was kept unaltered at its purgatorial level of 20%, the market sought to divine deeper meanings from the strange riddles of central banker speak. For the ordinary Zimbabwean tilling the dusty soil or hawking wares on a teeming Harare street corner, the analysis of casuist economists regarding basis point movements and the phantasmagorical fluctuations of shadowy derivatives markets can seem an esoteric world away. And yet, the celestial mechanics of monetary policy and the dances of currency values hold life or death consequences for the delicate economic ecosystems in which they pursue their daily struggle for bread. The new currency, dubbed the ZiG in demotic Zimdollar parlance, represents the latest attempt to summon the wizardry required to resuscitate an economy laid low by the plagues of hyperinflation, chronic shortages, and ruinous government mismanagement over many bleak decades. The sixth such experiment in a mere 15 years, this would-be panacea is backed by the seemingly substantial anchor of 2.5 tons of gold reserves complemented by $100 million in foreign exchange held by the wizard governing central bank. Yet already, ominous rumblings from the monetary demimonde give pause. The ZiG has begun a slow, motion-twinching slide against its virile American cousin, shedding value to slump to a bestial 13.68 to the muscular greenback as of last week. Despite statutory restraints and harsh punishments inflicted upon the money-changing caste of street traders, the ZiG appears unable to defy the gravitational pull of currency immortality. The faint trumpet calls of optimism that were sounded in the wake of the ZiG's glittering debut are being muffled by the droning financial rites of late autumn. With the scythe of drought stalking the fields of the ancient Bantu maize farmers, projections of economic expansion have been cynically downsized from an initially sunny 3.5% to a more anemic 2% rate of growth. And hovering over this scene, like stellar gargoyles surveying the drama from on high, loom the scrutinizing operatives of that dread celestial body, the International Monetary Fund. The financial presbyters of the global reserve currency order have decreed, from their marbled citadel high above the primordial ooze of earthly exchange, that the ZiG experiment represents an important step. For the leaders of the daunted Zimbabwean monetary core, this seemed a Delphic utterance to snatch at for sustenance. A mere 2 words from on high, important step, a fragile set of tea leaves to try to read into an oraculous harbinger of atonement with the financial deities of the age. If found worthy, a staff-monitored program could be granted, perhaps as soon as October, the first step on the punishing trail of debt towards a longed-for redemption in the eyes of the World Bank, African Development Bank, Paris Club, and European Investment Bank. The $19.2 billion in arrears owed to these celestial money lenders represents nothing less than the crippling burden of original sin to be expunged through the immolation of decades of Zimbabwean economic anguish upon the altar of structural adjustment. Zimbabwe craves the rehabilitation that an IMF-blessed atonement could bring, absolution from the cycle of wage garnishing and asset seizures, restoration to the blessed condition of preferential borrower status after years as a family errant. And so the chess players of Zimbabwean economic policy find themselves locked in the endgame of these high-stakes fiscal trials. The wizened grandmasters of Harare understand that every move, be it hiking interest rates or publicly flaying money changers, must be calibrated with an eye towards the greater prize of reinstatement to the magical circle of preferred interlocutors with the IMF and World Bank. For they understand that the financial clemency of these roving global justices represents the only path back to economic Canaan. In the hushed halls of the old monastery, where 19th-century colonists first inked their ledgers of industry and extraction, One can almost sense the ghosts of those early merchants who long ago laid the first Solomonic courses of the present economic temple, its foundations intermittently shored up and its innermost sanctums cyclically reconsecrated across the decades and centuries that followed. And observing the rituals that continue to unfold within those vine-laced cloisters, one is struck by the thought that the economic liturgy being enacted likely sounds depressingly familiar to those early traders' spirits, a melancholy intonation in a wearying key of debt redemption and fiscal mortification of the flesh that echoes through the years with metronomic regularity. As dusk gathers over the escarpments of the high veld and the southern skies prepare to stage their nightly pyrotechnical ballet of celestial luminaries, one senses the eerie disconnect of grand cosmic motions proceeding with implacable grandeur while the Zimbabwean people labor under the terrestrial gravity of their seemingly eternal economic purgatory. When will the long-awaited intercession of the financial apostles finally manifest to release them from their bondage? When might the ancient song of deliverance finally ring forth from the highest heavenly choir? For now, the weary congregants can do naught but clutch their tattered monetary icons close and await the coming of the assigned numbers.